Welcome to Finding Your Light Friday. We are back after a little hiatus for snow and vacation.
Just a little snow.
Just snow and ice and people's lives falling apart. Welcome to Austin. I'm super excited to have Heather Emerson here. We're going to talk about all kinds of things that I'm actually very interested in. I don't know that she knows that I was a chef and a food nerd. Ooh,
I didn't know.
Ta-da! We also have been circling each other for, I think, about 2 years now, like this, in the Austin Wellness lady-owned business circle.
Yes.
So, Heather, will you introduce yourself to everybody?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Heather Emerson, and most recently, I have a company called Prep to Your Door, and we do organic farm-to-table meals. They're completely plant-based, gluten and dairy-free, and I think what's most unique is that we deliver them in up like the man.
Yeah. That's come in cute little jars, so they're kind of layered fullness of food.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Awesome. Actually, I was just thinking about you. Completely changing my eating. I was like, maybe do your door for a little bit to like do a little more veggies.
People who are plant-based, but to have own that.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of their meals, and that's totally fine. Also, Houston, kind of.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Well, as much as we will dive into food, the importance of food and eating your diet, but I have a very interesting backstory for you. Post-traumatic is one also of what that phase of life looks like when you in your past fuel.
And that you don't even realize trauma, and then there's happen to have traumas, and obviously never enough, and really bad surrounding people who and you're trying to fit in, just want to definitely soothed substances and around vampires, and I definitely paid for that. So yeah, I think that's where a lot of my trauma began, though, really young.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people was young. Mine was really.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's, I like that you called it vampires, because most people don't. And one of the things that's hard is like when you're a teen and you're in kind of those arenas of people, the reality is traumatized people find traumatized people. And so it's not actually, especially if they're young, it's not actually their fault that is the behavior in which they're patterning. The reality is they're patterning somebody in their life who has unhealthy relationships with people, doesn't understand boundaries, takes advantage of people, copes unhealthfully like most of us did when we were young. And so how did you feel like that kind of played out into your life?
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback off what you said, like attracts like, and people's wounds attract similar wounds. Mm-hmm. And so...
Or the matching wound, like the narcissist and the codependent.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the magic It's like the narcissist has to find a codependent in order to be able to live.
Express
Yeah.
their narcissism. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's so, oh, yeah. Yeah, the match.
Yeah.
So for me, I think my self-destructive patterns were, they were reckless. So I expressed my self-destruction through reckless behavior, and that included, like risky encounters with humans, like, you know, don't go down a dark alley with someone you don't know on 6th Street at 2:30 a.m. Like, I would just do stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
6th Street used to be different here in Austin. It was a college. It was where you'd go in college. Obviously substances, just like I said, hanging out with people that that didn't care about me, and that landed me in prison. Actually, I went to prison for, sorry, I just had a little
memory.
Just thinking about it. My charges were substances. I'm trying to think, because it was a military charge. I was in the military when this happened. So the exact charge was using, because that's not a civilian charge. Using substances is not a civilian charge. And distribution. But the crazy thing is, if I was a civilian, I would have gone to prison. But that was,
Yeah.
That's I still say that at school.
Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
one every single one military this one, because there's a facility that is female and San Diego and Miramar. It's what I see the same way every single woman goes to, that is also the same facility where they every man in the military with it's only, and it's
What?
with viral.
No.
Sex offenders,
Convicted.
sex
Even convicted.
in sex and with men, especially the where they're trying to work on themselves and trying to be better humans. Like that's inspired want to stay from men. It, uh, and I was heavily for most of the time because my anxiety was through the roof and I couldn't sleep and so, you know, it was data.
Yeah, because they're just
It makes me really happy if
yeah.
I don't hurt them.
So still your
So your Marshall, which is just a corporate and civilian work, they do your
mm.
so mine was so over
Okay.
you're do for 30 days, you'll come back to but in one of these cases, which mine was considered as they also issue your discharge at that point. Mine was discharge.
Mm.
And actually funny enough, next submitting paper after grade.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in hope we so, yeah, I accomplished 14 and that month. So,
And where did you after that experience?
so back to civilian world, every state has a different way of interpreting military crime. My military crime was unusual, um, just didn't translate what they by the were system, you have federal judicial, and whole other judicial system, and it's military. It's very similar to like getting in trouble in another country,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like the court and the don't really know.
Yeah.
It's like a foreign
Mm.
conviction. Do 12 months.
Oh.
So I honestly don't know if felon or not. I was so on the border there.
Yeah.
Um, I reported because I didn't know they couldn't. Uh, you can't even go to UI. That I was back and clearing me to the point. So I had some because of this weird conviction that
yeah. Point next time you told what that did you
I remember feeling like what normal huge have been when I'm getting to the ticket on my home, not having the skill to this to advocate for how I work because you're and you believe that.
Yeah.
You start to believe. And so I cowered at the ticketing trying to get and anyways I got here and my one was because I felt like like to work like that was the priority like all done up until that point was caused disappointment in myself and my family. I worked really hard in DC and which was really cool. That was like because that's 3 is the whole
Yeah.
and
was
okay. Do you
oh yeah. Oh,
for these raw vegan and expensive? Anybody knows I because you changed my life. You know it. And he drank like he was
yeah.
stuff before. Eyes were like busting out of his head. I was like, what? And it was because I learned about the digestive tract, how it just weighs you down, you eat bad, and I was like,
Yeah.
10 shots was just literally, and all it was lost weight, medication I was on, quit cold for me, even in of your plate,
yeah.
vegetables every single meal. Benefit. So okay, but how you feel.
That's there. can be
Yeah,
religious.
it's a total lifestyle.
Yeah, of course. Mm-hmm.
And it was fascinating. Talk on like anymore. To buy deodorant. So it was really fascinating to learn that your mind,
Oh.
your like, different, like, you know,
Into hard to at this point. I think that people want industry talk about struggle and like all you do is like help like if you've dealt with mental health, you don't really that get it's and their depression, you know, mental energy, you know, dealing with their mental health stuff, that then moves people into like, okay, what are the other things to start doing? I'm ready to start eating better, start body, you start journaling the capacity. I think people understand the time for people to hit people at the right time. People about absolutely possible, you know, and for people a lot to get her, but ever who's you mean the there's cyclical behavior, eating crap, feel it, you know, it's like this people like we can just have like cleanse and kind of lighten up and all of a sudden in the yeah, and oh, oh my god, I used the day here can you know to the thing you need to read and help us what do I depend
did a cleanse, really cool, and oh my, this is why the so much.
Well,
No.
yeah. Close. That place was slim. I mean, I'm paying for a piece of overcooked. But the food,
Right now, back. Your chicken, and you enjoy those antibiotics. So,
I've a bit.
so red.
I just started the prep to your door.
I say love company.
Good.
Free. So much skin in the game that like we're very like proud and competitive people. We're like we go, you know, and this existence. Um, it started my apartment. Uh,
Free.
right. It is not a success. There is margin in food, profit margin, and it's,
Special.
it's because you're paying a times more piece of protein. Very business. And
Mm-hmm.
so I feel like, you know, we got to now we have an team benefit. But it was
of out and creating something thinner takes a lot of people, including your employees, which they just never understand the amount of pressure.
You as
Over your head at all points of your life. I can tell you, saying this, I would have them and be like, live not art, or I hope you feel you finally pops and hits it. To it's or buy from shit who's going to available because it's
just that, like, um, much on coordination and not just like right, like that's so when you order and you take
mm-hmm.
farmers are really important.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think that just like you maybe those
Mm-hmm.
you don't find all
Mm-hmm.
right some amazing that like these little farms or
Yeah.
or I with
Mm-hmm.
way to eat, but we know that as zero as our ocean
Mhm.
so that's difficult or organic. We're, yeah, mental health, like talk about emotion and this is a weird for this air after the had so then individually because people who don't or I
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
right
Yeah.
okay the physical as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot over there, but physical
It's
it,
which is
so
very that's
or
work. Is a conscious more in the conscious state, and it's a if I had as a remember that focus. That show this and stop control everything. Already. And this or to like have that like embodied knowing that I think would be okay.
I love because so when you hear that.
We're gonna say yeah, but
I've mastered the death grip. So, yeah, and I think like it's kind of like what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Like, is this the path that was just chosen for you, or is this the path that will work for you? Is this the path that was chosen for you, or is it because you have these personality traits that this path will work for you? Like,
yeah,
it's not like you said. It's not like you're just gonna be like, oh, okay. Like,
yeah.
no, you gotta. Your contribution still very much matters.
Oh yeah, that's always why I have definitely a more masculine personality in general, and it's interesting. I've been in a lot of women's groups, like especially women business, and there's this whole group of women that are very feminine based, which is a lot like intuition and flow, and it's just not how I can always tap into that more. But the part that always missed me in that languaging was there's action. There's a lot of actual work to be fucking done. Like, I get it. Work in your genius zone or whatever, but like there's a lot of things that I have to do that are not in my genius zone.
Yes.
That just have to get done.
Yes.
And especially at the beginning. I mean, when you bootstrap something and you're doing everything. It's like, I mean, people come in, we were just training somebody new and they're like, do you know how to do everything? I'm like, yes, I do. You know why? Because I own it and because I have to.
Yes.
Because in case you leave, the only thing I can't do is put in an IV.
Really?
I
can do that. I was a nurse in the military.
Oh, there we go.
So I got you, girl. No, I'm not licensed. But I know how to do it.
Yeah.
I can do it.
That's my gap. Ken's always like, you could go back and become a med tech in like a week at ACC, and then you could put an IV in.
I don't know. I don't know. Can med tech start IVs?
They can.
Okay, that's new.
As long as they have a supervisor.
Oh, a supervisor. Okay, so maybe that's what it is. Yeah, because at the time, it was RNs who had to do it, but I mean,
you did it.
We were trained to do it. But that is just to circle back to what you said about mental health. Like for me, practicing letting go is a lot of my mental health, yeah. and that's the spiritual stuff. Just like trusting the universe or God or whatever you call it. I trusting. It's a trust thing.
Yeah.
Letting go and trusting is very much a spiritual practice for me.
And I think it is for most people, especially type A driven, anxious people. That's the number one practice that you have to practice. It's a practice. And that's a thing that's hard for people to understand, just like just about most mental things. It's a practice. People think like you should be good at that. And I'm like, you have to practice. And that's actually probably the biggest thing that ketamine it's an act of surrender. How much can you surrender and let go and release? And that's what that tool teaches you above all else, is to let go. And for many people, that's terrifying, especially if you've controlled everything your entire life. So like Ken, who's a doctor and an anesthesiologist, who's like controlled everything, but has always had, generalized anxiety his whole life. That's why that chair is very hard for him. Every single time it's hard for him.
I don't know about you, but I want my anesthesiologist to be a control freak.
He is, so don't worry.
He is my forever anesthesiologist now that you're telling me that.
Yeah.
So it's made him very successful.
Exactly. And so that's the interesting thing, is a lot of times I find this trauma line so interesting. We have trauma, we create a coping mechanism, which then a lot of times can fuel our success, especially for type A people. So something happens, you become a control freak, that control then creates your success. Then it turns into your downfall if you don't know how to let go of it. And that's for everybody. Everybody has some kind of trauma, and that created a coping mechanism which allowed you to live and thrive. And then at some point it will become the anchor that weighs you down if you don't know how to let go of it. And everybody has something like that.
Yeah, I totally believe that, because I was just telling somebody that, like, this is kind of the story of evolving as a human. And you see people, I'm sure everybody has met a person who's had the same job for 25, 30 years, and they're super unhappy. And it's because I'm finding that it's an older generation, because at some point we taught people to have one job and retire. Yeah. And that was very much ingrained in like education, like manufacturing jobs, all of that. If you look at the history of the U.S., and there's this lacking of evolution there, and a lot of them are unhappy and cantankerous, and it's this thing that we're talking about now. They weren't taught. Oh, completely. Yeah, and they were never taught to be able to choose themselves. Right. Or that happiness should be a priority, or to find pleasure and fun in your life, or that you can change who you are. That any of those things were okay. Right. And so it was shameful to put yourself first. It was like, oh, completely. Yeah, you're selfish. It was the era of like, there were a lot of wars. Yeah, be a martyr. Give yourself up for your country. Give yourself up for your family. Do what it takes. Yes. And there's part of that is very noble in a lot of ways. And still very important. Like, there's still a need for people to have that. So, yeah, because the overcorrection is being self-involved. Yeah. And, like, doing whatever I'm going to call it. We don't want a society of just that. So no, and being entitled, which feels like the pendulum swing that might currently be happening. Yes. Now we sound like old people. We are. We were young, and now we're old, because those entitled millennials. I didn't say who you were. I just said they could. I know, but come on, let's all say it. We know. I almost side parted my hair, but then I thought I'm not allowed to do that anymore. You didn't want to do the Spice Girl little ponytail on top, like with my tight jeans on. Yeah. No. Yeah, so that's it. We're like in the middle of those generations. Exactly. Yeah. We're the perfect balance. Yeah, we're the balance. We nailed it. Well, I love this conversation. Do you have anything coming up for you that you'd like to share? Oh, one small thing. Actually, the last time I did it, Finding Your Light, I interviewed Katie Ford. Really? Yeah. Oh. At the beginning of February. Oh, really? I didn't know y'all did that yet. I knew y'all were talking about it. Yeah, we did it at the beginning of February. So we have two back-to-back. So actually, Heather, why don't you say how you're connected to Katie? Yeah, so I'm on the board for Truth Be Told. And I use that phrase. It's so funny. I use that phrase all the time, Truth Be Told. But it's actually an organization that helps women behind bars. It provides transformational programs for women to have accountability and trauma healing. And they don't go back to prison. A lot of people go back to prison within their first year of exiting, but women who go through this program have a higher rate of just starting their life over. Yeah. And so I'm on the board, And Katie's the executive director. And it's been super healing to be involved in this organization because I didn't talk about my story for over 15 years because I thought that if anybody knew what I did and what happened, that they wouldn't like me. They wouldn't love me. It's kind of blowing out there.
Yeah, just so you know, there's a leaf blower literally right outside our door.
So
perfect
trying
timing.
to raise my volume. If it sounds like I'm screaming, that's why there's a leaf blower.
Literally outside the door.
Timing.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm on the board of that organization, and I think, I'm sure everybody has somebody in their life. Wait. I wish we could take the camera and just show you.
I mean, his feet.
There's like feet right here.
My favorite thing is he does this right outside the window when people are getting therapy, and I'm like, could you not do that right now?
Can we put a sign?
And I go
we
and
should put a sign.
I go and
I say we like I
go
I
and yell
own
at
this
him.
place.
It's fine.
I don't.
I appreciate him
does.
cleaning our leaves, I guess.
It's very nice.
I'm not sure why he's doing such an aggressive
He's
job.
doing a really thorough job.
Usually it takes him like 4 seconds to clean this area.
Well, we can just chit chat for a minute while.
I mean, seriously, why is he still...
This is so ongoing.
I'm about to say something. It's okay. Keep talking. We're fine. We have mics on.
Oh, we
I'm
have
sure,
mics on.
I'm sure
I
they
was
can
like
hear us.
leaning into the camera, but really my mic's right here. Okay.
Yeah.
Good point. So, where was I? Oh, so I'm sure that everybody in the world either has a family member who is incarcerated or has a friend who has a family member who is incarcerated. I mean, it's literally 2 degrees of separation. And if you look at all the data, it's not working, right? Like prison isn't working. And even if you're somebody who takes the approach of, you know, people should pay for their crimes, like, I'm not going to argue that. And that's what's so cool about Truth Be Told is it does actually encourage accountability for their crime. So even if you're in that camp, I think what I ask for is to see that it's still not working because of the financial aspect. It costs us, the taxpayers, $40,000 a year per person behind bars. And so think about what $40,000 of Illuma and trauma therapy, like, you know, just think about allocating those funds differently, like how impactful that would be or could be for some people. And so Truth Be Told goes in, and it's all voluntary programs. It's not required, but women can participate and tell their story. And I just ask for, you know, even if you don't have $1 to give, that's totally fine. Just go check it out and read about us and just know about us, because I can say that I didn't have these programs. I had to do a lot of therapy after the fact, and I know for a fact, because all my therapy was these programs we're doing. So if I had that behind bars, I would be so much further along, and I'd be able to tell my story. It took me 15 years to tell people what happened. And this program teaches you to exit with like strength and empowerment. Like, yeah, I did this and it's okay, and you're a new human at that point, right?
And it breaks the cycle of trauma. That's the biggest thing, because it's a cycle. Yes. People are in the system, and then their kids see it, and then they've taken away from their children, and then their kids are in the same traumatic environment that they grew up in, and then they are in the cycle. And there's prisons where there's grandparents and parents and children all in the same prison.
In the same prison.
Yeah.
And we shame them. Or like, oh, bad egg. But really, there's a way to break this.
Yeah.
And it's so accessible. And truth be told, is doing it.
Yeah, and it's not expensive. That's the other crazy thing. It's
not.
So inexpensive.
It's not.
Well, we're really excited because we're actually going to do y'all's Amplify Austin. So we're a partner with y'all for Amplify Austin.
Really?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, so Luma's going to partner with Amplify Austin, which most of y'all know is it's supposed to be one day, but it's really a
Weeks.
month.
Yeah,
It's kind of a month.
Yeah.
For us to help amplify local Central Texas nonprofits and help raise money for local nonprofits and to basically amplify our dollar amount. So you're going to be hearing a lot through our social media and through our newsletter about how you can get involved and donate to their to Truth Be Told and do, help continue them doing their good work in the Austin area because they work all in Central Texas prisons.
Yeah, it's going
in
to
one
be,
prison, really, right? Is it just?
It's multiple prisons,
but they're all
in Texas.
Yeah.
I'm actually hiring graduates. I'm like scouting graduates because these women are so freaking awesome because they've done their work.
Yeah.
They've done their trauma work. They're like
ready to go.
They're ready to go. So I'm like, you can work for me. You can come change food, and it's gonna do that for Texas.
Yeah.
It's just like mind blowing. Like it's this whole underbelly of society that we shame that like we can just
turn back on and
make part of our community.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Truth Be Told.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's so nice to meet you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.